The war between Russia and Ukraine is not just a sudden conflict. It is the result of history, broken empires, power struggles, and borders that never fully healed. To understand why this war is happening, we need to go back decades, even centuries, into the past. For hundreds of years, Ukraine was ruled by different empires, including the Russian Empire. Later, after World War I, Ukraine briefly tried to become independent, but it was absorbed into the Soviet Union. Inside the USSR, Ukraine was not an independent country. Its borders were controlled from Moscow, and many decisions were made by the Soviet government. Millions of Ukrainians suffered during this period, including famine and political repression, which created deep resentment toward Russian rule. In 1991, the Soviet Union collapsed. 15 new countries were created, including Ukraine. Ukraine became an internationally recognized independent state with clear borders. Russia officially accepted these borders at the time. Ukraine also inherited nuclear weapons from the Soviet Union, the third largest nuclear arsenal in the world. In 1994, Ukraine gave them up in exchange for security guarantees from Russia, the United States, and the United Kingdom. Those guarantees promised that Ukraine's borders would be respected. After independence, Ukraine stood between two worlds, Russia to the east and Europe to the west. Many Ukrainians wanted closer ties with Europe, democracy, and economic reform. Russia, however, wanted Ukraine to remain under its influence. One major issue was NATO. Ukraine considered joining NATO for security. Russia viewed this as a direct threat to its power and borders. Another issue was identity. Ukraine increasingly saw itself as a separate nation. Russian leadership argued that Ukrainians and Russians were one people. In 2014, a major turning point occurred. Ukraine's pro-Russian president was removed after mass protests. Shortly after, Russian forces entered Crimea, a Ukrainian peninsula with strategic importance. Russia annexed Crimea after a disputed referendum. At the same time, fighting broke out in eastern Ukraine, in Donetsk and Luhansk, a region known as Donbas. Russia supported armed separatist groups there. Ukraine lost control of parts of Donbas, and a low-level war continued for years. On February 24, 2022, Russia launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Attacks came from multiple directions: Russia, Belarus, and Crimea. Russia claimed it was protecting Russian speakers and stopping NATO expansion. Ukraine and most of the world rejected these reasons. Ukraine did not collapse. Instead, it resisted with strong national unity and international support. Today, the war is mainly focused on Ukraine's eastern and southern borders. Russia currently occupies parts of Crimea, Donetsk, Luhansk, Zaporizhzhia, and Kherson. Ukraine considers all these regions part of its sovereign territory. The international community largely agrees with Ukraine. The front lines shift constantly, with heavy fighting along border regions and strategic cities. At its core, this war is about borders, power, and the right of a nation to choose its own future. Ukraine is fighting for sovereignty. Russia is fighting to maintain influence. And the outcome will shape the future of Europe and global politics. This is not just a regional war. It is a test of whether borders can still be changed by force in the modern world. Conflicts like the Russia-Ukraine war remind us that history, borders, and power still shape the world we live in today. If you want clear, factual explanations of global events without noise, propaganda, or oversimplification, this channel is for you. Subscribe to stay informed. Like this video if it helped you understand the conflict better, and comment below. Do you think this war will end through diplomacy or continue through force? Thanks for watching. Stay curious, stay informed, and I'll see you in the next video.